What's up, everybody? It's me, E-Man from E-Man's Movie Reviews. Welcome back, y'all. We are here to talk about Season 2, Episode 2 of From. Okay. We are finally getting into the thick of some crazy stuff. We left Boyd last time in some well or chimney or something, and now we're finding out who actually helped them out. The town they got new people from the bus, and it's nighttime, and there's so much craziness. So by the way, if you are watching this, you need to know that we are going to do a deep dive into this. We're going to go through the whole episode. So spoiler alert. And if you have never watched From, again, I don't know why you're watching this video. You should be watching my season 1 breakdowns. So go ahead on my channel and check those out. But for those of you that are caught up, let's get into it. We're back with Boyd in some sort of strange room. He found out that Martin was the person who helped him with the rope. Boyd tells Martin that he's from the town, and Martin asks him if he came through the tree. He said that when you get trapped or stuck, that's when they get you. While being in this place for years, Martin pleads with Boyd to kill him. Okay, so before we start getting into who Martin is and all of that, let me just say I saw all over the internet and everything, people have been wondering, how did Martin get, Boyd the rope? How did he do it if he was chained to the wall? Look, honestly, I don't really know. He maybe the rope was like laying next to him. Maybe he used his foot and kicked it over. At this point, right now, I don't think it matters. I don't think it's something that we really need to keep on trying to hash out, because it seems like we have way bigger fish to fry. Now, as for Martin, it seems like he used to be from the town too, at least from a long time ago. I wonder if he was around in the town when Victor came, or maybe even after that. Then the biggest thing that stood out to me was what Martin said about the trees. Yeah, we already knew that the trees will have you going anywhere, but this man said that's when they get you. They? Who's they? So, okay, clearly we already know that the monsters, when they catch people, they eat them or kill them or whatever they do to them. They mutilate them. That's not what's happening to Martin right now. So this gives the impression that this is a different they that he's talking about. And the question is, who is that? What is going on? So I do have a theory of who I think they are, but I'll save that for a little later in the video. So I also found it pretty interesting that Martin said that he was a Marine, right? He confirmed with the tattoo. And I thought that was interesting because we know Abby is also a Marine, Boyd's wife. And I'm wondering, obviously that's going to have maybe a connection somewhere down the line. But what kind of got to me was the fact that if this man was a Marine, Marines are built tough, right? And, the first thing he said to Boyd, not like, oh my gosh, save me. Oh my gosh, help me out. It was like, yo, kill me.
I need you to kill me.
That was it. Like the second Boyd got out, he was like, you remember our deal, right? You got to kill me. Oh, you got a gun? Great. Kill me. Like, that's all Martin wanted. And that to me lets me know that's how bad, whatever they are, they got a Marine begging for death. And that is something that he's viewing as being helpful. Back at the diner, Donna has rounded up as many of the bus people as possible and has them held at gunpoint. She starts talking to them about the fallen tree, and the bus driver wonders how she even knew about that. Christy and Mary are talking in the back room, and Mary is still distraught over Christy's long absence. Okay, so like I talked about last episode, the town has like this kind of ritual or whatever where they will allow people to kind of run around in this loop, and basically kind of helps them understand how weird this place is and makes them a little bit more, receiving to the craziness that's about to happen, right? But it doesn't sound like the bus people actually had that. They instead just saw the fallen tree, which is true for everyone in this town. Everyone has come across the fallen tree. So now that Donna brought this up, this is a good way to kind of like prove that what she's saying has some legitimacy and that, she's actually telling them the truth. But what this fallen tree means, I still don't really know. If you guys have any ideas, please let me know in the comments down below. But I don't know. Maybe we'll find that out later. The sun has gone down and Jim, Tom, and Brick are pinned under the house. Brick wakes up and won't shut the hell up. He doesn't feel comfortable in dark spaces and won't stop moving about despite Tom telling him to be quiet. Now, Brick is pretty dumb, so he ignores Tom's warnings and starts to whine about wanting to go home. After being told what's going on and hearing all of the screams of the people outside, Brick still won't be quiet. He then starts to cough up blood. Here we go again. If it wasn't Tabitha at first, now it's Brick. If y'all don't shut up. Boyd desperately tries to help Martin and tells him that he has a talisman to keep them safe. Martin tells him that the monsters are just the tip of the spear. Just then, a music box starts to play with a tiny ballerina dancer inside. Martin warns Boyd that they're coming and to get out before the music stops. Boyd picks up the music box and looks into the mirror. Okay, so now we have confirmation that the monsters that are in the town, they are not the ones that captured Martin. And they're just small potatoes compared to whatever or whoever captured Martin as well. And once again, we're given a little bit more confirmation that whenever you go outside of the town, there are bigger, badder, scarier things that could be out there. Now, back when Sarah was hearing the voices, now I'm assuming that whatever voice was talking to Sarah might have been Abby or maybe someone that sounded like Abby. I don't know. But they're confirming the same information, so I do think that it is pretty valid at this point. Now, we also found out that Martin is from a small town called Millbrook. Now, I don't know if that's important or not, but I do believe that it is some sort of clue that we need to maybe remember for at least the time being. Because, you know, we're watching a show called From, and it probably won't hurt to actually know where some of these people are, you guessed it, from. At the diner, Julie keeps looking out the window because she's so worried about her dad. Kenny tries to distract her with questions and assures her that hiding from the monsters used to work in the past. Outside the diner, some of the bus people are scattered all about. Fatima and Ellis try to warn them to run to safety, but it's too late. They dead. Fatima is at her wit's end with the monsters as they simply smile at her and urge her to come right outside. Poor Julie. She is going through it. I bet she regrets picking Colony House though. Remember when you had that choice to stay with your family or go in the Colony House because you thought you was too grown for your britches and all that? But look, I'm not heartless now. I do feel for her. She's going through a lot. Your mama done fell through a hole. Your daddy is buried under a house. And that sucks. By the way, has anyone checked on Ethan? Where's Ethan? Y'all just left him at Colony House with a bunch of random people over there? Ain't nobody gonna check on Ethan? Now, let me just say this. Fatima is my girl. I like her. She's a good character, but her freak out did come off a little surprising to me. I mean, she just got done celebrating a full year of being in the town. So keep in mind that during the first episode of this show, there were at least 96 something days before the last incident. And then, of course, we had the other incident with Frank and his family. And even after that, you also had the Colony House stuff happen and all these other things go down. So on one hand, I could totally understand how shouldn't you kind of be desensitized a little bit to all this? Shouldn't you almost be used to kind of all this madness happening? But on the other hand, I can also understand that, maybe this is just the straw that broke the camel's back. I mean, maybe she's just at her wit's end, this is a lot to process and none of this is normal. No human being should be going through this kind of stuff. However, I'm gonna need her to stop pounding so hard on the window. Okay. Cause every time she kept pounding on the window, I was getting nervous. Cause I'm like, if that window cracked, if you bust that window, them things gonna come right in there. So I'm gonna need you to just back up. Okay. You can yell at them. Go ahead and yell at them. Flip them off, flip them the bird, but look, chill out now. And I'm gonna need Ellis to step up a little bit more. Get your girl now. At the diner, great value Chris Evans grabs Kenny's gun and takes him hostage. A standoff ensues between him and Donna. He hears people's screams outside and wants to open the door to go out and help them. However, Donna says that whatever he does, she's going to shoot him before he tries to open that door. A knock at the door happens and causes a distraction, and that allows him to get subdued. First of all, Donna ain't no chump. I don't even know why anybody even want to test her at this point, but this is why I love Donna. Second of all, poor Kenny. I mean, this guy, you just got your gun taken away from you, and you the deputy sheriff, right? Then you got taken hostage. And then Donna just straight up told you that your life is worth less than a door being opened. I mean, come on now. Y'all gonna have to stop giving my man Kenny so many L's. Now look, let's go back to Chris, not Evans, because he is clearly a hothead from this bus crew. I can already see him and Donna are going to be button heads. I will say that even though he's got an attitude, he does seem like he tries to do the right thing. He only wanted to open the door to go out and help people outside. He was also one of the few people to volunteer to go help Jim look for Tabitha under the house. So I'm getting the impression that basically his attitude is a problem, but deep down, maybe he's a good guy. So in other words, it looks like he's kind of like a jerk with a heart. But we'll see how that goes down the road. As Boyd attempts to free Martin, Martin asks him if he thinks Abby was right about if this was all a dream. Boyd looks at him shocked. Feeling weak, Martin collapses. When Boyd tries to help him up, he can see worms crawling throughout Martin's body. Just then, the music stopped playing. Martin says that they're out of time and he slashes Boyd's arm. He grinds his wound into Boyd's arm and says that his blood is now Boyd's blood. Then he falls and dies. He dead. Boyd grabs a torch and heads out the door, only to find himself in a completely different place out in the woods. A dog barks and comes over to him. Boyd decides to follow the dog. Okay, now this is where things get a little freaky, right? Like, how the hell did Martin know who Abby was? Like, seriously, how? Why? I mean, I don't really know how to explain how Martin knew who Abby was in that situation. One thought I had was maybe Martin was hearing voices the same way Sarah had been. Maybe with Abby and Martin both being Marines, she spoke to him from beyond. I mean, if that's not the case, maybe Martin has tapped into some telepathic abilities and maybe he read Boyd's mind. Did Boyd imagine Martin saying that? I'm not really sure, but you guys tell me what you think in terms of how was it that Martin knew what Abby said. Now, the moment the music box stopped playing its music, recall that's when Martin said that's when they will come. Now, I guess the other question is, why would Martin want to put his blood in Boyd's body? Like, I mean, we saw all them worms crawling about and everything, and that was very, very nasty. Very nasty.
My blood is your blood now.
But now Boyd has tainted blood. And it's kind of like, why would you do that when Boyd was actually trying to help you? You know, because it looks like he was attacking Boyd, but then he's giving him his blood, which clearly looks tainted. So, I mean, I'm not really understanding the motivation here. Then we get to the point where Boyd walks out the door. And I don't know about y'all, but I had to rewind this a couple times because I was like, wait, did I miss something? Like, am I tripping? Like, what happened to the rest of the place or whatever? But it seems as though Boyd walked through, I guess we're dealing with portals now or something. But the second he walked out the door, he was like, kind of like, maybe it was the same place or maybe it was a different place, but like kind of ruined, but he was back in the woods. So I'm guessing that wherever he stepped through, whatever door he walked through, kind of acted like a faraway tree, I guess. So, I guess these portals exist in different areas or something. And I'm wondering if that's kind of like the same phenomena that happens with the fallen tree, right? Like when you see the fallen tree, maybe there is some invisible portal that you just keep going through, and that's why people get stuck here. Now, also, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't that the same dog that Boyd saw in the previous episodes and the same dog that's been kind of running around with the boy in white? So if it is, I am starting to believe that maybe this dog is actually a good thing and not like a necessary bad thing. Back in the town, two people from the bus walk into the bar. They can hear the screams of others from outside. They also hear a knock at the door and they proceed to open it. Elsewhere, Joker Face goes inside of a bus. He admires the steering wheel and sits in the seat and turns the wheel. He hears a sound in the back and finds an elderly couple. They dead. Well, I mean, look, we knew that this was going to happen, right? Some of the people from the bus, they was hard-headed or they was super scared, and they just started running around. Well, I mean, you know, like it's very unfortunate, right? Like, I mean, we know the truth. We know what's crazy stuff is about to happen, but they don't. And I guess I could kind of understand that. I mean, you're hearing all these wild, crazy things. You're in this weird town. So I understand them running around like that, but it is kind of sad that, you know, they just end up dying anyway. But my goodness, Joker Face, I'm tired of this dude. This dude looks so creepy. I remember him when he was in the colony house, when he walked in there and he was looking down at everybody just smiling. That dude, listen, that's like, he's easily one of the scariest ones out of all the monsters. I don't even the grandma. First of all, I don't trust the old folks in that town, the old monsters. I don't trust none of them. I don't trust them little kids either. But Joker Face is definitely one of the scariest ones. Now, this does kind of bring me back to my previous thoughts, which were, it was interesting that Joker Face found the bus so intriguing. I mean, you know, he was kind of going up and touching the wheel and touching everything and kind of playing as if like, oh, this is how you drive a bus. You know, like it kind of gives me the impression of like, okay, you know, what is it that captivates these monsters so much with human things? It reminds me of when Tabitha was underground and she found like all these things that these monsters apparently are collecting. And it just kind of makes me wonder, like, you know, do they want to be human? Do they envy humans and what humans have? Or have these monsters, did they used to be human? Could that be the case? I don't know, but I do think it's very interesting that they mimic humanity. They mimic their victims, and that is just very intriguing. But let me know what you think. What's the deal with the monsters and their intrigue with humans? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Boyd continues on in the woods, but comes to a halt when he sees some of the monsters walking about. He puts out his torch and luckily misses their gaze. Tabitha and Victor escape into a truck. Victor said that he's been in this place for a while now. Some of the things inside the truck were there already, and some other things he had added over time. When Tabby asked Victor who came with him into the town, he started to think about his mother and got sad. A noise outside of the truck was heard, and it was Boyd who lifts the truck door. Right behind him, Elgin comes running with a bunch of the monsters creepily walking behind him. They let him inside, close the door, and place the talisman up. Elgin lets them know that he's from the bus, to everyone's surprise. So I wanted y'all to think of something. When I saw Elgin running and the monsters walking behind him, it kind of got me thinking a little bit like, you know, let's think about how these monsters have adapted. But remember when Boyd's flashback happened, right? Before Boyd got the talisman, the monsters used to shriek all the time. So they would come out at night and they would just start screaming. And what would that do? That would scare people, right? And make them scatter. And the monsters would go have fun playing hide and go eat, basically. And, you know, until the talisman came, that's when the monsters stopped. They stopped the screaming and they would just walk around. And for them, that's fun, right? Like they don't run after people, they just walk because they like stalking their victims. So again, I think that just demonstrates that the monsters do like to adapt for their own entertainment. But it kind of got me thinking when I watched that Elgin scene, what if these monsters take it up a notch? What if these monsters, because they already can pretend to be human, what if they actually take one of themselves, start running, acting as though they're being chased, just to let someone inside, you know, just to get someone from the town to let them inside. And then now think about it. You've let a monster in your house, and then that monster can open up the door and let the other monsters in. So I'm just saying, like, look, I'm not team monster. I'm not trying to give them ideas, but if the monsters wanted to, I think they could use just that little situation, how they saw Elgin running in and all that. I wonder if they could use that as a strategy in the future. Because, man, I think that would provoke even more distrust in the town. But anyway, I'll leave that there. Whether they do that or not, I don't know. But I think that would be interesting if the monsters adapted in a different way to really screw people up. Now, regarding this truck that they're in, my only question is, who was the person in the truck before? Could it have been Martin? Or just somebody else in the town? I don't know. But that is something I'm going to kind of keep in the back of my mind. Back in town, under the Matthews house, Brick starts freaking out. His dumb self starts yelling out in pain. Even though Tom tries to reach up to help him, Brick coughs one more time and bleeds out, dying. For all that trouble, Tom turns around only to find a monster sitting right there staring at him. He dead. Julie thinks her dad is the one dying and crying out in pain, and she starts to panic. Thanks a lot, Brick. Golly. Look, I know you in pain and all that. I get that, man. Look, they done told you the monsters were out there. You heard people screaming and dying. You know that making noise is not going to be helpful. Shut up. Shut up. I understand it hurts. Trust me, I get it. But crying out ain't gonna do nothing. Whining, wanting to go home ain't gonna do nothing. Shut up. Jeez. Oh, he just couldn't be quiet. And poor Tom. Why Tom gotta go like that? Oh, that hurt me. I mean, at first, I thought Brick was gonna be the one to die. I thought Brick was gonna be the one to get attacked by a monster, and maybe Tom and Jim would have survived. But no, Brick gets to go out. He's just dead, off of his wounds or whatever. Tom gets killed, and I'm just sitting here like, look, who's gonna make the liquor now? The sun comes up and Julie rushes to the demolished house. Tom's dead and mutilated body has been dragged out for all to see. Jim wakes up and calls out Julie's name. The bus driver goes into the bus and finds the bodies of the elderly couple who were eaten earlier by Jokerface. Well, I think this is the time when it's finally starting to click for the bus people. It's real out there in them from streets. Okay. You got to understand. You see them dead bodies. You heard them screams. The townspeople clearly weren't out here like trying to lie to you or whatever. So like you could have been one of them. And I'm glad to see that Jim survived. I mean, I didn't think he was going to die anyway. Jim is smart. Jim heard all that stuff and he was just quiet. He ain't want to say nothing. He ain't make no moves. That's exactly how you got to do, Jim. I'm glad. And come on now. You one of the lead characters. You ain't finna die like that. They ain't got the guts. This ain't Game of Thrones. They ain't finna kill Jim no time soon. But why they have to drag my man Tom out there like that? The monsters did not have to do that. See, again, I don't know what their reason is. I don't know if they just want to show him as an example, but these monsters are ruthless. In the truck, Victor says that he doesn't trust Elgin. Victor draws a picture of the dummy that he saw in the underground lair and posts the picture inside the truck. He said that even if you forget, pictures remember. With daylight breaking, the group opens up the door and gets out of the truck. Tabitha rushes back to town after hearing that her house collapsed. Boyd starts to see worms flowing in his arm, and Victor gives him a very odd look. All right, look, I wasn't going to say nothing about this, but I'm going to be honest with y'all. My question is, Victor, why don't you trust Elgin? What's the problem? Both of y'all are weird, okay? Both of y'all had, like, this weird connection to this place, so I'm sitting here wondering, like, shouldn't y'all be, like, kind of trusting each other? Maybe. But at first, I was like, Victor, all of a sudden you distrustworthy of when a black man comes into the picture? Now you got issues? Now look, keep in mind, Victor grew up around the 60s and 70s now, okay? We don't know what Victor's background is. We don't know, okay? Now I understand he been cool with Ellis and been cool with Boyd, but I'm just saying, all of a sudden you just don't trust him just for what? Why don't you trust him? That's all I'm saying. I was just asking questions. Okay, I was just asking questions, but I'm gonna give Victor the benefit of the doubt. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but I ain't gonna lie. That was something that crossed my mind, that like all of a sudden you just don't trust him. Cause I didn't see him having trust issues with Julie when he was in the kitchen trying to get some peaches. You ain't asked 2 questions, but now you suspicious. But okay, Victor, I'm gonna let you off. But I got my eye on you. Now, as for Victor, we do get a little bit more insight about why he draws pictures. When he originally thought that he was dreaming of certain events, his pictures were reminders that those things actually did happen. Also, I do believe that with him mounting that picture of the dummy in the truck, some way, somehow, I do think that Jade is going to find a way to that picture and he's going to freak out, right? Because remember, Jade did see a vision of that dummy before back at Colony House. Now, I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when or whatever, but I do think one way or another, Jade is going to run across that picture. Now, as for Boyd and those worms, first of all, first of all, my man, can y'all stop attacking Boyd? My man first got bit up by all them spiders and everything. Now he got worms all inside of him. Come on now. Ain't nobody got no raid or nothing. Just, But I thought it was interesting because it was odd that Victor appeared to notice the worms in his arm. And I was kind of thinking like, at first, were the worms all like in Boyd's head? Like maybe he, was freaking out, had a vision when he saw it in Martin, and now he saw it in himself. I don't know. I thought he was imagining them at first. But it does seem like Victor did see them. Then again, Victor also sees the boy in white, right? So this is why I'm like, okay, I don't know how real this is, because Victor's already weird. He's already special and can see stuff. But the crazy thing to me is Victor did not seem curious or surprised at the worms at all. When he saw them, he just kind of had maybe like a look of disgust, or if anything, he just kind of looked at him like, that's not a good thing. So I do wonder, have the worms been a thing before? Have people in the town had them before? Again, we don't know because Victor don't remember nothing yet. But anyway, we're going to have to figure all that out. That was the end of the episode. And this is the point where I'm going to rate it. I will say I definitely had a good time with this episode. With the suspense and all the stuff that was going on with Boyd and Martin. And then, of course, the town folk, the bus people dealing with the monsters and experiencing them for the first time. So this was a pretty solid episode, in my opinion. So when it comes to the rating for episode 2, season 2, I've got to give it an 8 out of 10. So I am down for this. Y'all let me know, what did you rate this episode on a scale from 1 to 10? Let me know in the comments down below. I don't know if there were any major clues that we need to remember. To me at this point, everything and anything Martin said is a major clue. So I would just say, let's keep everything Martin said, in our memory banks for now. And some way, somehow that stuff is going to play out, down the road. Oh, so, one theory I do have for you all, and maybe you guys share this too. Who exactly captured Martin? Who was it? Well, I have the feeling that we already kind of found out who that was. Maybe. I think that the people or the person or whatever that captured Martin was the boogeyman. And the boogeyman, in case you forgot, in the past episodes or whatever, Ethan had talked about that. Ethan talked about, man, spiders, scarecrow, and boogeymen. So I'm sitting here thinking to myself, like, the boogeymen are like the next level to the monsters. I don't know what they are or who they are, but that's my theory right now, because we've seen spiders already. We haven't seen a scarecrow yet. We don't know what that means yet, but the boogeymen are still a thing. And I do believe that they are the ones that captured Martin. Y'all let me know, who do you think is actually behind capturing Martin and torturing people? Do you think it's the boogeyman? Do you think it's somebody else? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Anyway, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really absolutely appreciate it. Stay tuned for more. I will see y'all next week where we do a breakdown on episode 3 for season 2. And until then, I'll see you guys later.